Hello to all my friends out there. Hi, you guys. Here we are again. Okay, I had a lot of food left over, so I'm just going to make like what I usually like to eat for lunch. Okay. This video is how to save money, how to get ahead. Okay. Number one way is claw your way to the top. You know, just do whatever you've got to do, no matter how miserable, and get yourself out of your rut. That will work for a while usually. I used to take classes, a lot of classes, and one time I had this teacher and I told him, "You're giving us too much work." And he said, "Well, you have one of two choices. Either level the forest or cut one tree down at a time." And I thought, yeah, and if I do that, then what's going to happen is I'm not going to be fit for the next class. This is when the classes start getting hard. So I thought, okay, what do you want to do? Go all semester behind, or do you want to just like, you know, plow through it? And I thought, no, that is not smart. So I have learned a long time ago, a steady Eddie makes the way. Okay, now this is some good soup, and I just made it, and I had put food in these little jars. And in this little jar, I had 1/4 cup rice, 1/4 cup green peas, and 1/4 cup pasta. And so it was only 1/4 cup, so I took the pasta out, and then I added, and I rinsed my peas and my rice really good, and I cooked those with 2 cups of vegetable bouillon and 1 tablespoon dry onion. And I have a lot. The soup is getting expensive, but when you make it homemade, it's not expensive. I'm going to move this over here. I find that sometimes the food is not showing. So see the green peas? Okay, now what they're doing is they're saying, okay, you should eat more vegetables, but they're making the vegetables expensive. You know, the vegetarian food expensive like meat. And when you look on the ingredients, you see it's like rice and beans, and you're going, really expensive like meat, rice and beans? I don't see that as being a good idea. So now, before, you know, the meat is unaffordable, we're going to make some of these. I'll put some pepper. I don't think it's going to need salt because of the bouillon cubes. So then when the peas and the rice were done, the peas took longer. I added pasta, and then I made fry breads again, because the ones I made last night were like kind of not the best. They tasted good, but I made some more. And so I also made some cheese, because I want to make this meal like the Oslo diet. So after I made the cheese, I had whey. So I poured, after I made the cheese, I poured I used the whey to make the fry breads, and I had some whey left, so I put that in my soup. Let me give it a minute. Okay, so I was able to make good use of my whey. Okay, the second thing I made was the cheese. Here it is. So let me go back to the Oslo diet. Norwegian children were suffering. Here's some homemade cheese. This is about 2 cups of milk, and then, you know, that's the amount of cheese. So 2 cups milk, and I used my, do you guys see my flower arrangements? This is such a cheery hobby. This is the latest one. And so I heated 2 cups of milk, and I used my powdered milk again. And I added 3 tablespoons of vinegar, any kind. And then I strained it, and I pressed my cheese. And today I purchased this. So that was a lot easier to dip my cheese after I pressed it in the hot boiling way to kind of set it. And I added some cheese. I just made it last night, so you can refer to that if you want. So now my soup should be nice and hot. Okay, this is some good looking soup. And as I was cooking it, if I see I needed it, I add more water, because sometimes the water cooks down. And so I have enough soup left for tomorrow and maybe the next day. Sometimes when the soup is really good, you can eat a lot of soup. Okay, so now 2 slices of whole wheat bread with butter. But if you make these fry breads, they are fried in oil, so you don't really need oil. They're very delicious. All right, let me take my cheese out. So it was 2 slices of bread, a salad with 3 vegetables, a bottle of milk, and a piece of fruit. So this cheese, here it is, homemade. And I will put a fry bread. I will cut it. So you could put your cheese on your fry bread, you know, or on your bread, especially if it's homemade cheese, because it's kind of soft anyway. Here they are. All right, now let me give you the Oslo diet. So it's soup, bread, cheese. But if like it was some kind of depression, you would just go to bread, cheese, vegetables, and a fruit. Okay. So, and I have some tea left over. So now I want to make a little salad. Let me give you the Navajo fry bread. For 4, that was 1 cup flour, 1½ teaspoons baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and then I use 1 cup whey. And then I let it set for about 20 minutes. And then I fried it in oil. Any kind of oil, shortening, fat, lard, whatever you have. Okay, so, okay, back to the money saving. All right, so like take me for instance, if I would have been I would have been clawing my way to the top when I needed to be raising my son. That probably wasn't going to be the greatest idea. So I did work a lot, but I was always home by about 8 o'clock at night, and I made dinner and attended to my son first of all. So you have to be careful when you're clawing your way to the top. So you might be saying, well, that is fine, but right now I don't have any money, and I don't have much food either, and yeah, what you're saying is like of no consequence to me. Yeah, I'm trying to find a potato peeler now. Okay. I like to peel everything. Okay, so I want to talk about how your stockpile is going to save you money. Okay, now, let's say if for the past 2 years you had been stockpiling food, here it is. Then you could go a year you would save $4,400 without trying. And if you had 2 years, you would save $8,800 without trying, because you had food in your house, because you stocked it up a little bit at a time. So if you didn't, and you didn't know about that, it would start out with a week. And so you had food in your house, and then you would have a week's money. Okay, let's say you might be saying, well, I get EBT. Okay, so the thing to do would be buy storable food with your EBT and go to the food pantry and get your food there. If you are willing to do that, in time you're going to start prospering, because you've got to find a way to save your money. And plus, you're not, this is my homemade peanut butter. All you need is a bag of Dollar Tree peanuts. You just okay, so you could put your peanut butter on your bread as well as your butter. So this is how, you know, I used to prevail. And then, you know, there is such a thing as cheap meals. That's what this is. So the reason I can have a cheap meal tonight is because, so I bought a turnip. I know for sure that the Oslo diet was turnips and carrots, I think. So I wrote down, and once you start doing this, you're going to save money and you're going to eat better anyway. Carrots, turnips, parsnips, potatoes, yams, sweet potatoes, and beets. So we have the soup, which was rice, green peas, and pasta. 1 vegetable bouillon, a tablespoon of onion, and then the rest of the whey. And the cheese was 2 cups milk and 3 tablespoons of vinegar. And then I gave you the fry bread. But let me give you a shot of the list. Okay, so clawing your way to the top. Also, prolonged hardship is a hard mile. Okay, think about a car. And okay, one of the cars is like my car. It has barely any miles on it. Yeah, it looks a little bit crappy, but it runs like new. And then think of a car that is all beat up, banged up, wore down, wiped out, like the person clawing their way to the top. Not always, but you get the idea. Okay, how I used to hear this at my shop, and I used to see them. And so you might be thinking, well, I will work harder. Well, what about the other guy who's working harder? You can't assume that you're working. I worked with a lot of people who thought they were working harder at one job. So also it is, you can't say you're working harder all the time. You might think you're working harder. Okay, so I have celery, I have turnips, and I had cabbage. So all I'm going for, so this is like a vegetable meal, really. I'll just have a little piece of cabbage. I'll put it over here where I had some celery. Okay, so you know I'm going to have more celery than one piece with peanut butter, but I wanted to fit my, so this thing about, you know, I worked harder. And then these are the homemade pickles, and I've showed you guys how to eat. These are good. The working harder thing, well, you don't know if you're working harder. You may think you're working harder, but you don't see what the other guy who's working is doing. So you can't assume you're going to work harder than the next guy, because the next guy may be working harder, as hard as he can. And he may, you know, he may have some advantages as well. Okay, so like I used to work 3 jobs, and one of my advantages was, first of all, I had 2 other jobs. But second of all, if one of the jobs was slow, sometimes the other job wasn't. So this is 3 vegetables, a little cheese, and some fry breads. Okay, so let me show you what we have here. And if you get your kids used to eating this, they'll eat it. They do anything you tell them to do within reason. Okay, so this working harder thing, I remember like I was taking classes and they would work harder at the beginning, but then the person who just prodded along would jet past them, and it's the same thing financially. Okay, so you don't want to handicap yourself later by getting sick. Okay, so I think one of the most effective things is you stockpile food a little bit at a time. Then you don't have to buy any food. You have your fixed rent. You try to reduce your utilities. You have water, you have food, you have heat. Food, water, gas, cash, and maybe a weapon. Okay, now one thing you can do is if you don't have that much money, buy discount food. So you get twice as much, or try to find everything at the lowest possible price. And find low-cost meals that you like. So, like people who don't know me, they don't know these people who are going to outdo me, outsmart me, they don't know I'm in here eating this cheap food and eating my leftovers and wearing my thrift store stuff. And these, you know, I was talking smack about the influencers, and as I was I had this like terrible pansy bouquet, and I was watching the influencer, and she had some big white flowers, and I go, I'm gonna do that. So, you know, don't be lofty, because you can always learn. So, find low-cost meals. EBT, buy storable food and go to the food bank and buy and just eat what they give you. I'm going to start doing that. So the food bank, the pantry, the churches, the storable food, and just cut all the expenses you possibly can. And the only trick you're trying to do is like, you know, when you're trying to lose weight, you have to get to a calorie deficit. I found one thing out though, weight training and burns a lot more calories than like walking, and muscles require more calories than blubber. Okay, now eat less meat. So this is less meat. The cheese, this Oslo lunch thing is a good thing. It's like, okay, you've got your 3 vegetables, you've got some soup, you've got some bread, and then there was the other thing I did, which was, it was potatoes, rice, and beans. So you have 3, and also, you know, that is, you know, it's like you can't fight City Hall. I mean, you can, but you know where it's going to get you? Nowhere. That's where it's better to adjust. Okay, so now what? Well, all right. Now I started a list. So every month I want to buy 1 large block or bag of cheese, 1 large bag of powdered milk, 1 large bag of walnuts or pecans, because I go on the search for walnuts. It's because I eat those in the morning. Get a good breakfast that's cheap, like oatmeal with raisins, with walnuts, with powdered milk. And so I was having a bit of a problem, so I was at Smart and Final, so I bought, this was the big bag, 1 walnuts and 1 pecans. And also they rang up my order wrong. That pissed me off. This was $5.49, and the pecans were where is it? $8.99 or $8.59. So I only required 2 tablespoons of nuts. Let's see, how many servings is this? 15 servings at a 1/4 cup. So I have 1/8 of a cup, so this is enough for a month. So that is what I wanted to know. And here is the milk, the whole Walmart milk. 1 large bag oatmeal. Make sure I have that. Make sure I have stuff for bread, which is flour, salt, baking powder, yeast, 6 bags of cookies, 6 boxes of crackers, and a bag of powdered milk. I stocked up this month. I bought some extra food because I thought I am going to be going for what, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, and I want to make sure I'm good to go. So what happened is I've been doing the Dave Ramsey little by little, paying my credit cards off, showing fitness to carry this debt, and now here I am with 2 years food in my house, and all my debt is, all my credit is available. Let's see. Okay. So I could have crackers with this soup. I bought this peppermint tea because that's a good one. Here's the little jars that I will probably make this one next week. That's about 3/4 cup. And then today I found this for $1.49. So if I went today looking for produce, but if I see something like this, might as well pick it up. It's not that much. Here's the, I wanted to mention something about this. Here's the oatmeal, any kind. But what I have started doing that is really tasty is grating this. I bought several of these brown sugars, and those are really good in your oatmeal or your granola. So I just wanted to mention that because getting an idea of how the other guy does this. And people used to ask me how I did it. Oh, I put a video on my X for you guys. Rotostone X was a video I did 11 years ago when I really lived in the really awful apartment, if you guys would like to see that. And then I mentioned forever things. So today, this is what I was looking for, and I got the 5 bags of apples. So with this lunch, I could have half a fruit, or as usual, I'm not eating my bananas, so that means I'm probably going to have to make banana bread. So you're prepared for either canned fruit, so you have a little bit, or fresh. Okay, so we're going to be, now we're going to be getting ahead. If you don't have a stockpile, you're going to learn this as we go along. This could be any kind of soup that you like to make. So, okay, now I want to mention something. This is back to clawing your way to the top. I had this customer, and it was a guy too, fairly young. And he was working like all these hours, and he looked so haggard. And I said, what's going on? He goes, oh, you know, I'm just working so many hours. I'm so exhausted. I go, yeah, I know how that feels. But with him, it kept going on and on and on. And finally, I go, why are you doing this to yourself? He goes, oh, I want to marry a younger woman and have a baby. And I just thought, wow. I go, what do you plan on doing? He goes, oh, I plan on buying a really nice house. And what's even more hilarious is he probably did it, and these days that house is probably worth $1 million or more. So sometimes clawing your way to the top, you know, if you have a particular goal. Oh, and I have an apple pie that I got at McDonald's for free. Okay, now this is, okay, so now I'm going to be eating this food down, and I'm going to be doing every cheap thing I can, but I want to mention now, I have a fascination with Scientology, and L. Ron Hubbard's books. If you can find some of the early books, they're worth like 50 bucks. So I keep my eye out for them in the thrift store. But he was a science fiction author. But he was always into like, I don't know what to call it. Some people would call it occultism or, anyway, I think his motivation was to help people, you know, learn his ways. And if you want to watch his videos, the best ones are the ones he himself does. But okay, so the point is, if you work for the church, they provide everything food, lodging, you know, shelter, and you're given $50 a week. So one of the things they do is they're very, very disciplined. So they work hard, and I think they really do work hard, but I have no plans on doing that. But they're given $50 a week. And so once you get your food, once you get your house, I used to call $50 a week petty cash. So just try, and $50 a week doesn't buy much, but if you need a bag of produce or something, your $50 is enough. So I think I'm going to be trying to do that. Okay, now I'm studying, and this is another thing. And so, okay, what I did when I should have been climbing my way to the top, which I don't think would have been a good idea in my case. I did a lot of hair, though, I'll tell you that. Is I was always going to school. So I am studying now Rosicrucianism. So what it is that if you cooperate with these natural laws of nature, things are going to really happen for you. So I have been studying that. And one of the things I am fascinated is the spiritual language is art and music. So what I'm trying to do is I am trying to make my house like a gallery. I'm going to be getting more plants, the only reason I'm doing artificial flowers is because, you know, when you're new, you're not very good. So you're learning harmony, and you're getting into the stream, and it's a connection to God. It's mysticism dating back to the Egyptians. So I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not trying to go back to the Egyptians, but what I learned to do in the self-help group is take what you like and leave the rest. And so they say, be aware of your surroundings, be aware of yourself, what you're doing. So like my meal is a good Oslo meal. It's going to get me by. I have all kinds of food in the refrigerator, and I'm going to be thinking about this. Another thing about Scientology is there's access to their classes. So one of the reasons you want to get to the point where you kind of work for the church is you get the classes free. And so you're also, you know, working to get, what they're doing is they're kind of like saving the world. But aren't all the churches really kind of saving the world? Okay, so water, food, house heat, gas, hopefully your car is paid off, and cash. And then if you're not stocked up, that is okay, because you're going to make some pickles, you're going to make some peanut butter, you're going to make some soup, you're going to make some fry bread, and it's healthier for your kids anyway. And like the fry bread is 3 ingredients, the soup was 3 ingredients. Okay, so now 1/4 cup oatmeal, 1/4 cup nuts and seeds, 1/4 cup, half and half, 1/4 cup powdered milk, and 1.5 cups water. And so what I'm trying to do is make myself eat that for breakfast, and I don't get hungry and want to gobble up. And then lunch is something like this, and then dinner, you guys are going to see my dinner. Okay, I think, let's see, is there anything else? Oh, milk. The reason I stockpile milk is because I don't want to be dairy deficient. So I try to eat 2 cups milk a day. So with the Oslo diet, the children were given a block of cheese and a cup of milk. Well, a bottle of milk. I assume probably 8 ounces. So, you know, think about it that way too. Okay, now about the fake wealth on the social media. They mention like, ha ha ha, these people are acting rich, are shopping at Aldi's on Wednesday. So I'm going to be shopping at Aldi's on Wednesday because I didn't know that was their sale day. And another thing about this fake luxury stuff is you can go online and you can go to Temu, T-E-M-U, and they have all kinds of fake jewelry, purses, and like this blouse, it's called S-H-E-I-N, so it's a cheap brand, but they also make brands that are like, look like fake luxury brands. So the point is that they were saying on these spilling the tea on the social media fakers. They're not fakers. They're just trying to, like that's not fake. That is a big improvement. I'll let you see a close up. So anyway, it can't hurt, to try and sharpen up a little bit and enjoy life. But of course, you really don't need that much. Oh, and fake purses. So the point is like they look good at a distance. So I buy fake purses all the time. They're good enough. This year I bought 2 of them and they're both shot for 15 bucks. Now I want to talk one more minute about these wealthy people. The wellness culture has water fasting. Okay, what I think the better strategy is moderation in all things. Eat enough, but don't eat too much. Get what you need, but don't overbuy. If you have everything you need, then hoard up your money, because if a terrible recession is coming, which you probably might, what you need is cash. That's what you need the most. Okay, you guys, I will see you tomorrow. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And God bless you all. Bye.